exciting.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
She was the first lady of our country and now potentially the first lady to run our country. Please welcome presidential hopeful Hillary Clinton.
Go, go, go.
It's nice to see you. Now, firstly, let me just say, that looked very presidential when you walked out here. It really did. It's very good. We don't know what to call you.
Oh.
Is it Mrs. Clinton? Is it Matt?
How about Hillary?
Hillary.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
For now.
If I can call you Kelly and Michael,
Yes,
is that okay?
Yes,
Good.
yes.
Yeah, that's very easy.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I have to ask you, you're the first, you could be the first female president of the United States. And I'm just curious because, you know, I know how my household are run and how, like, and I feel like women have so many qualities that I think would be great and do. What do you think would be some of the advantages of a female as our president?
Well, I love that you think that, Michael, because I obviously agree. I think that, I think they're, you know, first of all, we're great multitaskers.
I agree.
Don't you think?
Yes.
And so there's always more things going on in your house, so you multiply that for being in the White House. I also really believe that being a woman, you just have different experiences. And it's not better or worse, it's just different. And bringing my lifetime of experiences and what it's like to be a woman, what it's like to be a mother, now what it's like to be a grandmother, I think just gives you a different perspective, which I think could be really helpful in bringing people together. You know, we have a lot of divisiveness, but what do people care about? We care about our families, we care about our children, we care about our safety, we care about our future.
Yeah.
And focusing on that and not so much on all the little things that divide us is part of what women have to do every day, because in addition to being good multitaskers, you got to keep everybody around the dinner table being in a good mood. Yeah, you got to keep, now that we're getting toward Thanksgiving, you've got to keep everybody behaving.
What is that like in your house? I mean, Thanksgiving in our house is always unpredictable.
Unpredictable.
Is it unpredictable in your house as well?
Well, it is, because starting about 15 years ago now, we began to invite a lot of Chelsea's friends who were foreigners, and they had never heard of Thanksgiving. They didn't know anything about it.
Right.
And then we started to invite more young Americans who were her friends who couldn't go home. Their work didn't let them, whatever the reason would be. So we have about 30 people, and they are from all over the world, plus all over America. And some of them we see during the year, but a lot of them we only see once a year at Thanksgiving. So we have just the greatest extended family experience. And now they're coming back with their children, and so it just is a special time.
It's fantastic. Sounds like fun.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I know after our show, you're going to talk about the events that happened in Paris. And what do you think needs to be done to protect us here at home?
Yeah, well, that's our first and most important priority. And we've done a lot to protect ourselves more since the horrible events of 9/11 when I was a senator, and so I saw how much better we got at safety and security. So our country is further ahead, and here in New York City, our police department, the intelligence that they gather, the support they have from communities who are not at all reluctant to say, wait a minute, I saw something, I heard something. We have a very strong defense here, but you got to remain vigilant all the time. I mean, the adversary that ISIS is and the other related terrorist groups, they are constantly using the internet. It is a new and very effective tool for them. So they can be sending messages to people who they're recruiting, who are sympathetic to them. And they don't have to come into our country if they can get people inside our country, like the Boston Marathon bombers, people who'd already been here, who'd gone to school here. If they can turn them into jihadists online, then they can try to direct them to do attacks here. So we have a slightly different problem, but just as equally important as the Europeans do. They've got a, they're dealing with a lot of movement. So many more people left there to go to Syria. Now they're coming back. They've been in training camps. We've got to take a hard look at people who are already here, as well as keeping out any potential terrorists.
ISIS just issued that threat here in New York City.
That's right.
How serious do you take that? How serious should we who are raising our children in the city be taking that?
Well, I think you always have to take them seriously. I mean, one thing that you just have to accept is that when they make threats, they may be some distance from being able to deliver on those threats themselves, but they're hoping that some discontented person or group right here in our country will hear that threat. They showed a lot of pictures of Times Square, for example, and they will then try to plant the idea that maybe we can't bring people in, but you all out there who have some grievance, you could do something. And it's way too easy to get guns in our country. Terrorists can get guns who should never be allowed to. They're on the no-fly list, but they often aren't checked, or they can get guns online. So we do have to take it seriously. We have to be vigilant. However, that shouldn't affect how we live our lives.
Right.
And it's especially important with kids, and you have teenagers, and you have, I think, twins, right?
Yeah,
12 or 13, 12 11.
Yeah.
And I think you've got to be honest with your kids, and you have to answer their questions sort of in a way that corresponds to their understanding and their age, and how much they really want to talk about it. But you also have to tell them that, not to let those threats in any way kind of upset their minds or make them be afraid to go out. So
because that is the oxygen, right? That's the oxygen of the terrorists.
That's exactly
the fear
right.
is what is
That's what they're trying to do.
Right.
They're trying to instill terror. That's why they're called terrorists. And if they can get people to, shut down, not go about our daily lives, turn on each other, look at each other with suspicion and paranoia, and begin to kind of, act as we don't trust anybody anymore, then that's the first step for sowing the kind of discord and divisiveness that has consequences. So I think I take all these threats seriously, but I don't think people should take them personally, in the sense that they shouldn't interfere with how we live our lives.
Live your life.
Yeah.
Live your life. We're going to take a quick break.
When we come back, you're going to talk about Donald Trump for a minute. As a famous laugh.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think.
Why do you think he's so polarizing and getting so much attention right now?
Well, he's a great showman. I mean, he really knows how to grab attention and hold on to it and milk it for all it's worth. And, he was a reality TV personality, and you learn a lot doing that. So he's very comfortable in front of a camera, and he just gets the biggest kick, it appears, in saying really outrageous things. And, some of it is, a little bit humorous, and a lot of it's hurtful. And, I think sometimes he verges on bullying, which bothers me, because he'll go after, certain groups of people, or he has gone after women, different women. And, it kind of crosses the line sometimes. So it's no longer, to my ear, it's no longer funny. It's offensive, and it's a bullying kind of rhetoric. But certainly if he and I were to run against each other, I would be pleased on one ground, which is that I would not be the only person whose hairstyle was a topic of conversation.
By the way, it looks great. On a side note.
It was so funny. I was in Texas the other day, and I was shaking hands at a big rally we had, and I was shaking hands, and this man, sometimes people, they usually look you in the eye, and they say something, or they say, "Can I have a selfie?" That's usually, and he's just like staring at me, and I realize he's like staring at my hair, and he goes, "Is that a wig?" I said, "No, really, it isn't. I promise you, it isn't." Some days I feel like saying, would I have paid for this? No. Yeah, but it'll be fun.
That is funny. Let's go back sort of in your life. You were in the White House for 8 years.
Right, right.
So did President Clinton ever turn to you and ask you for advice in the thick of things, or
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, when you're in the White House, and I think it's actually one of the advantages I may have because I have been there, and I know both how much of an honor it is, but also how it can be somewhat disorienting because you do go into that bubble. And I used to, this was back in the 90s before 9/11, I used to go out for walks. I'd put on a baseball cap, I'd put on some sunglasses, I would just head out across the mall with, Secret Service dressed casually behind me, and, occasionally I'd have a couple, I'd be waiting across the street, and a couple would say, would you take our picture? And I'd say, sure, absolutely, and take their picture. And so I got out of it. Now I know it's even harder because of 9/11, and the security is so much deeper. So you do have to be aware of that coming in, that you need to keep reaching out. You don't want to get isolated. That's number one. And even people who you know and you respect, that's not enough. You need to be constantly asking for other people's opinions. And for me and Bill, it was exactly like that. What do you think? And here's what I think. And how would you do this? And I would expect to be able to, rely on his many years of experience in the same way.
Yeah, so that's a lot of people are saying that it's 2 for the price of 1.
Right.
Have you heard that before?
Yes, I have.
I'll tell you right now, if you want a sounding board, that's a great sounding board to have.
It is.
Right
It
there.
is.
Somebody who's been through it.